Technology doesn't really look like what it did 100 years ago, and 100 years from now, if we have that long, it won't look like what it does today. For instance, horsepower has an entirely different connotation than it did in the yesteryears. Even printing looks different now. I'm talking about 3D printing and its considerable potential. Chinese company Winsun Decoration Design Engineering has constructed a set of 10 single-story 3D printed homes in which it produced in under 24 hours. The homes, printed in prefabricated panels which fit together on site, were created using Winsun's custom-built 3D printer which measures 10 meters by 6.6 meters and took the company 12 years to develop. Formed with a cement-based mixture containing construction waste and glass fiber, each of the houses cost just $5,000 to build. Similarly, the Apis Core Company has produced the first house printed using mobile 3D printing technology in Russia's Moscow region. In December 2016, the Apis Core Company, in cooperation with PIK, proceeded to print the building using a 3D mobile printer. Construction took place at the Apis Core Company's test facility in the town of Stepano on the territory of the Stepano Aerated Concrete Factory. Printing of self-bearing walls, partitions, and building envelope were done in less than a day. Pure machine time of printing amounted to 24 hours. Though, as expected, 3D printing technology has potential law enforcement applications as well. At least that's what Michigan police thought when they approached Neil Jain, a Michigan State University professor, for his aid in assisting them to create a 3D printed replica of a fingerprint in an attempt to unlock a cell phone involved in a murder case in 2016. The 3D replica didn't work, however, a 2D printed image did. After a failed first attempt, the team used an image enhancement algorithm to fill in broken lines in the print, allowing them to successfully unlock the Samsung Galaxy S6 involved in the investigation. This led to the publication of an analysis entitled "Hacking Mobile Phones Using 2D Printed Fingerprints" by the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Michigan State University, stating, "Fingerprint is the most popular biometric trait due to the perceived uniqueness and persistence of friction ridge patterns on human fingers. Following the introduction of iPhone 5S with Touch ID fingerprint sensor in September 2013, most of the mobile phones such as iPhone, Samsung Galaxy, HTC, the list goes on, now come with embedded fingerprint sensors for phone unlock. It has been forecasted that 50% of smartphones sold by 2019 will have an embedded fingerprint sensor. Despite growing usage and claimed security of fingerprint recognition for mobile unlock and payment, spoofing attacks on the embedded fingerprint systems have not been investigated in detail. Spoofing refers to the process where the fingerprint image is acquired from a fake finger or a gummy finger rather than a live finger. The analysis goes on to detail ways in which embedded fingerprint security methods can be compromised. Honestly, most are woefully unaware of their technology's inherent vulnerabilities. The ransomware attacks of 2017 woke many up to this reality, leaving them to wonder about the future of cybersecurity. First, let me say I'm skeptical, to say the least, that the cyber attacks were perpetrated by hackers in hoodies out of Ukraine, but that aside for now, let's first try to understand what ransomware is. Ransomware is a type of malicious software that infects computers and encrypts or blocks access to the victim's data. Once the files are locked, a ransom is demanded at threat of publication or deletion of those files. Now, the worldwide cyber attack back in May of 2017 was known as WannaCry or WannaCrypt. It was able to infect computers linearly within the same local access network or LAN, meaning that once a computer was infected, it became a type of carrier. WannaCry infected over 200,000 computers in 100 countries, in some cases affecting hospitals and financial institutions. The second ransomware attack was known as Petya, and it worked in a similar fashion. While ransom amounts varied across the board, generally the hackers were demanding $300 in the digital cryptocurrency Bitcoin. I did think it was an interesting coincidence that the attacks and amounts coincide around the 300th anniversary of the international fraternity known as the Freemasons, celebrated on June 24, 2017. Also, the fact the Florida Senate passed a law that went into effect on July 1, 2017, making digital currencies like Bitcoin money laundering. But just where did these malicious programs come from? They were stolen from an NSA cyberweapons stockpile that was later published online, so there's your government involvement, though of course it was inadvertent. This is likely just another one of the precursors to a declared state of permanent cyber war that will ultimately lead to more reform and regulation of internet services. Yet, despite these technological vulnerabilities, increasingly more people are becoming comfortable with the idea of incorporating technology into their bodies. Transhumanism, right? So what happens when we become the electronic device? After posting what was a relatively passive video about transhumanism, almost immediately I got this response. Our movement seeks to provide humanity the means of changing its fundamental nature. We respect the rights of those who do not wish to participate, but we demand the right to create our own destiny through scientific advancement. My response, while that's indeed a fair statement, unfortunately, time and again, we see measures that were once optional become compulsory. As an example, for certain states in the US, California specifically, vaccines have become mandatory not just for children, but certain adults as well. There's also the possibility of facing discrimination when applying for colleges or seeking a career. After all, the modified human would likely be the preferred choice. Then there's always the potentiality of stigma associated with nonconformity, naturally from friends, family, even the public in general. Again, I don't oppose technological advancement. I suggest the further scrutiny of those behind the movement who may have more nefarious purposes in mind for humanity. The corrupt tend to have a way of usurping movements, even those with initial benevolent intentions. God bless. I close with God bless because transhumanism reminds me of something. The days of Noah. But one thing that appears to be missed about the days of Noah is the aspect of age. People were living to be close to 800 years old. If we believe the end times are a direct parallel of Noah's days, we really need to look into the aspect of prolonged human lifespan. Revelation 9:6 always stood out to me. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. For a while, I really played with the thought that this was because something man had done to himself, and when I found out that transhumanism essentially aims for immortality, I knew man was on a quest to change his fundamental nature. But to better understand the days of Noah, we have to go a little bit further back before the flood to the days of Jared. Now, the calendar we currently use is called the Gregorian calendar. Looking into the etymology of the name Gregory, it's derived from Gregorius, a Latin name stemming from the late Greek name Gregorios, which can mean alert or watchful. This made a lot of sense to me because I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, who Gregory House, played by Hugh Laurie, was modeled after. If you know anything about House, like Holmes, he was an alert watcher. Now, the Watchers tie into the days of Jared, and doing similar digging on the name Jared, depending on the source, you find out his name means shall come down, since it was in the days of Jared when the Watchers, a class of angelic hosts described by Enoch, also referred to as the sons of God in Job 38 and Genesis 6:2, came down to cohabitate with man. This is known as the fall, or at least the fall of this particular troop of angels. The Watchers, or fallen angels, taught many things that led to offense. They taught man how to smith metals and the art of weaponry. They taught women how to beautify the eyebrows, the art of deception through face painting, and to smite the innocent in the womb. During their cohabitation, they saw the beauty of the women, that they were fair, and they took of them as wives all that they chose. Genesis 6:2. This is when the sons of God went into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, giant Nephilim. The same were the mighty men of old, the heroes of renown. Genesis 6:4. Nephilim, the progeny of the fallen angels, are the resultant union of the celestial and terrestrial, ensuing the mixture or hybridization of human and angelic DNA. But the Watchers did more than procreate and teach weaponry. They taught the polymerization of species. This is where we get centaurs, minotaurs, satyrs, fauns, and the like. These hybrids are also known as chimera, something of mixed parts or character made by combining two different elements, typically man and beast. Genesis 1:11 and 1:24 touches on how species are to reproduce one after each of its kind. A beast after its kind, a plant after its kind. Each genus has a prescribed soul or eternal essence for it to inhabit. When you fuse, say, angel and human or human and animal DNA to produce a hybrid offspring that naturally wouldn't have existed, the soul or eternal essence inhabiting the vessel from that union is demonic. Put simply, demons are disembodied spirits of dead Nephilim or chimeras. When they lose their physicality, their spiritual eternal essence becomes a wandering entity known as a demon. This is what people mean by the days of Noah, an uptake in demonic activity and the mixture of one species with another. It's even gone mainstream. Scientists have created a sheep that's 15% human. The sheep have 15% human cells and 85% animal cells, and their evolution brings the prospect of animal organs being transplanted into humans one step closer. 150 animal hybrids grown in UK labs. Embryos have been produced secretly for the past 3 years. Scientists say humans and machines will merge in the future. Transhumanism is indeed becoming more ubiquitous, and it doesn't just mean man and machine. We are rapidly approaching the precipice of the post-human era where mankind transcends gender, ethnic identity, age, and virtually any other human quality. It really does give one pause realizing what we've allowed to become normalized under our watch. We shouldn't respond by ridiculing. Wherever the spirit of man and genuine repentance is present, salvation is possible. Ultimately, that's what we should be praying for in these times.